your job search feels busy but not productive, this episode's for you. It is not because you're doing something wrong, and it's not because you need more motivation. But at mid-career, effort alone stops working the way that it used to. If you've been quietly thinking, I'm doing a lot, so why does this feel so unsettled? I feel like I am just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling job boards, or I go to LinkedIn to search for some things, and then all of a sudden I'm distracted by whatever is happening. That's what we're going to unpack today. So the core pattern that I see over and over again with mid-career folks is that they're not stuck because they lack clarity about their skills or kind of generally what they want, or because they're unqualified or because the market is just horrible. None of that. And they're definitely not stuck because they're not trying. They're stuck because the job search has no center of gravity to it. There's movement, there's activity, there's effort, but nothing is pulling the work together. And so the search doesn't fail loudly. It's not some big crash and burn. It just sort of quietly drifts, right? It's like if gravity were to stop working and everything just sort of drifts apart. Maybe your networking feels very polite and people want to help you, but it feels kind of vague. Outreach feels a little bit awkward. Job boards start running the strategy by default, right? Just that searching, the endless scrolling. And while all that happens, your confidence erodes, even when your capability is really strong. And it's not a mindset issue, it's a structural one. Early career searches are usually constrained by necessity, right? There are fewer options, clearer ladders, less ambiguity, right? You're looking for jobs that have, kind of a box to them, right? They fit the experience you've got or the credentials that you have. But mid-career is different. You could do a lot of things. Your experience translates in multiple directions. Several paths look really reasonable on paper. But without structure, that openness becomes exhausting. Everything stays possible and nothing becomes directional. This is where most advice jumps a little too fast. People are told to update their resume, network more intentionally, apply more strategically, but all of that assumes you already know where your effort belongs. When you don't, those tactics scatter instead of compound. The stabilizing move most people skip is simple, but it's not obvious, and you don't realize that it's something that could help kind of gravitate you. You've got to give your effort a place to land. That's what anchoring the search actually means. So I worked with a client who came to me at a moment of pressure. They had a contract that was ending. There was a decision point coming, right? What were they going to do next? And their fear wasn't, will something work out? I mean, they had that, but that wasn't the first thing they said. It wasn't the biggest thing they were worried about. It was, what if I end up right back where I started? Previous roles had looked really fine on paper, but the culture had drained their energy. Ambiguity had become exhausting, and the idea of repeating that pattern felt heavier than the search itself. So we didn't start with applications, we didn't start with outreach scripts. We slowed down enough to get grounded. What kind of work still felt energizing? What patterns could not be repeated? What environment would support the life already being lived and the one they really wanted at the end of the day? They didn't want to demand more from the space that they were in. Once that clarity existed, the search changed shape. The attention narrowed, not because options disappeared, but because discernment was improved and conversations became more precise. They were able to finally say, this is what I'm looking for. And then we're able to map that to the types of companies, specific companies themselves. And that gave them a target company list. And when they had that, their conversations became more precise. People in the network finally had enough context to help them differently. And the role that followed didn't come from a posting, it came through a loose tie. Someone who suddenly knew what to listen for. They were able to connect with somebody who was at a company that really looked like it checked all of the boxes. And so when they reached out, when they had that conversation, momentum followed right away. And when the offer came, the reaction wasn't adrenaline. It was, I just really feel at peace about this decision. And that was the signal we were looking for. Not urgency, not hype, but peace, that we were moving to the right thing, that they were really stepping into the space that they wanted. And so, what really creates that type of stability? At the highest level, it starts with one, one kind of structural decision, and that is creating a target company list. Not a browsing exercise, not a list of dream brands or whatever, but as a decision about which organizations are actually worth building a relationship with and which organizations are the type of company. Because guess what? When you map these things, people are able to draw lines between things that they know, right? It's a big difference between saying like, oh, I'm looking for something in the finance world. I'm looking to, work at this type of bank. And somebody goes, oh, I know somebody who works at a bank. Oh, I know somebody who works at a bank that sounds like that. It's different, but hey, here's a different one, right? It's when you can draw those lines for people, people can show up differently for you. You can show up differently in where you're searching, what you're looking for, how you're pulling the wide, wide world of I could do anything down into something tangible and workable and strategic. So at a high level, first, if you want to get to this target company list, is first decide your filters. You need to know enough clarity to reduce the noise, right? This is what are the types of jobs? What are the industries? What are your non-negotiables? What are your nice to haves, right? Really getting detailed on all of that. And if you don't know where to start on that, I've got a free resource called the Game Plan that will walk you through all of that. So go check that out. It's linked I'll link it below in the show notes, but it is linked on my About page and kind of everywhere. So great thing. If you don't know what to do to pull together a criteria, I'll just walk you right through it. But you want to get super ultra clear on what is it that I'm looking for? What am I not looking for? Then you want to generate lists. This is where I feed the whole list of information I came up with into ChatGPT or your AI of choice and say, hey, give me companies that fit this criteria. Ask me questions that you need to narrow this list down. And that'll help you get going and get thinking. And then you can go out to job boards. I love going out to Google, searching their job board. So if you don't know how to get to that, let me know. Happily help you with that. And finding companies that sort of become the starter list of what are the types of companies, what are names that would really work for you. Then go and sanity check it, right? Are those companies hiring for the types of roles that you want? Are there patterns in the types of companies you're seeing, right? Like look at it as if you're trying to sort of uncover a mystery. Is this the place that I want to be? Are these the right types of things? Are there opportunities available? And then skinny this down and prioritize it, right? What are your top targets? What are your secondary options? And what are things you're going to throw in a parking lot? At this stage, you're not applying, you're not doing any outreach, you're just getting a focused list that gives you somewhere to point. And that's when all your effort stops floating, right? Once the effort has a center of gravity, conversations get clearer. Networking becomes directional instead of, oh, I hope they can help me, or let me know, let me know if you hear of anything. And loose ties finally have enough context to really help you. The process feels calmer instead of heavier. The work doesn't disappear, it just starts to make sense and to be something you can really wrap your arms around. So hopefully this was helpful. And if you have questions about coming up with a targeted company list, reach out to me. I'm happy to chat, DM me on Substack or LinkedIn, or just shoot me an email back to this post or shoot me a comment. I'd love to help you, figure that out. I'm hosting a live job search webinar, Your Next Role Job Search Strategy Blueprint. It's next Thursday at noon Eastern Time. It is designed for mid-career professionals who are doing a lot of the right things, but feel like their search kind of lacks that center of gravity. So we'll walk through everything I talked about here, and then the next 6 steps that you should take to really get a good blueprint together on conducting a job search at mid-career phase. So the link for that is in the job notes. It's an hour. It's an easy little lunch and learn to come and join. And at mid-career, the answer is not more hustle. That is not what we're trying to do around here. It's all about leadership. And sometimes leadership looks like slowing down just enough to build the structure that lets your effort really work for you. So as always, I hope that this helped, and I want you to put down the popcorn and get in the game.